Good afternoon, everyone. This is Conrad Weaver, host of the First Responder Friday podcast with a special edition of First Responder Friday. I had an opportunity earlier today to record an interview with Representative Ralph Norman, a Republican out of South Carolina. He is working on a House bill for the House of Representatives, Bill 8724, that would elevate National First Responders Day from a simple day of recognition to a legal public holiday. And I had an opportunity to interview him and talk with him about this legislation and where it is and what's going to happen to move it forward to honoring our first responders with a national holiday. And Representative Norman, along with Representative Bobby Rush, the Democrat from Illinois, are both working on this bipartisan legislation to move it forward. And I would encourage everyone to call their representative from their state and say yes, and encourage them to say yes to HR 8724 to help pass this bill to honor first responders with a national holiday. So here is my interview with Representative Ralph Norman. Representative Ralph Norman, welcome to the First Responder Friday podcast.
My honor. Thank you, Conrad. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, so you're from South Carolina. How does someone from South Carolina decide to tackle a National First Responders Day? What led you to do that?
You know, if you look at what we're going through now with the COVID virus, you look at all the companies that are closing down, some mandated by, government, as North Carolina is doing. Luckily, in South Carolina, there's no businesses that were mandated to be shut down or deemed essential. You look at first responders, they are some of the lowest paid servants, and I call them servants. They respond to every conceivable tragedy emergency you name it. They're there. They can't say, well, I can't go out. I'm not feeling good. I can't go out. The risks are too high. And why not have a day like this? You do this as a family. I mean, it's a connection there. You don't do it for any other reason other than you love what you're doing, you consider it a service, and they all stick together. And what better way? Look at I think there's 11 other days that are national holidays. Look at the days that recognize our veterans, which is warranted, and other figures. But this, as a group, there's no better group of people to recognize than our first responders.
You know, I live in a really small town here in Maryland, and we have a volunteer fire department. And sometimes that siren goes off at 2:30 in the morning. And I know those guys and gals are jumping out of bed. They're running up the street and jumping on a truck and going to take care of someone's emergency. That's something that I can't conceive of doing, just on a regular basis as a volunteer, right? Yeah. And there's so many of those around the country, not only volunteers, but obviously paid as well in our first responder communities. And like you said, they respond to all of our emergencies. And I think I personally think we should honor them. And as we know, there's been a day, a National First Responders Day, but what does that mean to kind of ramp it up to becoming a holiday?
Well, I think you look at their duties. I mean, you look at what they decide to do, whether it's on a volunteer basis or even if they go into it as their main source of income, it's still way below what other groups do with not near the responsibility that a first responder has. You leave your family, as you mentioned, at any hour of the night. You go into situations that a lot of times you don't know what you're going to hit. If it's a fire, you deal with people. Many times I spoke with a fireman who delivered a baby on the side of the road, and they just they take it as it comes, and I admire them and respect them. And I look on this as something that's long overdue, and it should have been at the forefront a long time ago, because I don't know of a group that does what they do and has such a genuine service to the people of this country than our first responders. And it's not Democrat, it's not Republican, it's not, it doesn't fit into a group. They do what they do to serve mankind. This is a mankind day, in my opinion.
So you're working with Representative Bobby Rush on this. So I guess, like you said, it's not a partisan issue, right? Do you think there's going to be bipartisan support for this?
I think it will be. I really do. How do you argue with it?
Right.
Because everybody, if you look on it from the political end, everybody in the country has first responders, paramedics, firemen, policemen in their district. But aside from that, it's just warranted, and I think it's a show of appreciation as we do our military.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we show appreciation for our military Memorial Day, and you know, it's just the right thing to do at the right time, particularly when I feel that in a lot of cases our flag's been under attack, patriotism has been under attack. There's no more patriotic group of people than our first responders.
Right.
And that's why I think it's important to do now. I've yet to hear one. I was telling our staff before we went on your podcast, I've had some people write in and say, well, what about the cost? Do you really need another cost that the taxpayers pay for? And my response is, well, if you feel that strong about it, then pick me a day that has been set aside, the 11 other days, and make the case. If you think that'll make the case to me, and if I think it's deemed worthy, I'll look at it. But 11 days in the 365-day year is not too much to ask.
What do you think that some of this has to do also with the whole movement now of kind of defund the police, and there's just a really kind of an anti-law enforcement thing around the country? How will this kind of fly in the light of that?
Well, I hope that they realize that what they're doing doesn't make any sense. When you see politicians advocating for sanctuary cities, not cooperating with the police, when I see them get out of their car with a security detail that looks like an army, if they really believe that, then let's cut their staff. Let's practice what you preach. And as we've seen on this shutdown, the politicians that are saying, don't assemble, don't get together, yet they're not wearing a mask, as Governor Newsom in California, or the lawmaker who was on vacation. He was urging people not to get out for Thanksgiving, and he was on a trip vacationing. So it's a double standard. I hope it does fly in their face. I hope it does raise the awareness. And I would like to hear the arguments of anybody who says that this day isn't worthwhile.
So what's your next step in moving this legislation forward?
We'll get co-sponsors. We will answer questions. I will introduce it at a caucus meeting. And, we've only got 7 legislative days left. I'm a realist to know, is it going to pass this year? No. But this is a first step in a long stairway that we'll have in the 117th Congress. It's not, as you mentioned, it's not Democrat, it's not Republican. It should be a bipartisan bill, and I look forward to pressing on with it and getting as many and seeing if we can make it a reality.
What should citizens like myself be doing to help move this along? What can they do? What can we do?
What you can do in your sphere of influence with your podcast, I tell people everything starts with a conversation, good, bad, or indifferent. It starts with a conversation. I tell all of our staff, reach out, be aggressive. You got to talk to people. I would talk this as you're doing now in your sphere of influence by broadcasting this. I've got a radio show this afternoon that we'll be talking about it and bringing it up in the conversation. And again, it won't be passed until, considered really until January of next year, 2021. But start the ball rolling to getting it a discussion point.
Do you think the new administration will sign off on it?
I hope it's Trump. I hope it's not over with. Biden, who knows? Harris it's the first time in the history of this country we have had a potential vice president who posted bail for those who tore up our cities. She posted bail to get them out of jail, so I assume, judging from that, no. But she's only one person. She's not the House. She's not the Senate. She's the executive branch. But I look forward to bringing it up and seeing what. I mean, she can have influence with those others, but that's fine. if she believes that's strong against it, lead the fight against it. We'll see how we come out.
So it's Bill HR 8724, and
Correct.
people should reach out to their congressmen, their representatives to say yes to this bill, right?
Correct. And rep ralphnorman.com. Email is ralph@warrennorman.com. And we look forward to having a good discussion and hopefully moving it forward.
Well, I look forward to seeing this pass and celebrating that first day of representing our national first responders and honoring them. I think they deserve it, and kudos to you and Representative Rush for helping to move this along.
Well, thank you a lot for what you do, Conrad, and Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas to you. You have a great holiday with your family or wherever you end up. So thank you so much. Thanks, Mr. Norman, for your time. Thank you for taking time to talk to us here on the First Responder Friday podcast. And again, if you like to support this legislation and encourage your representative and senators to support this legislation, it is House Bill HR 8724 that would elevate the National First Responders Day to a legal public holiday. So be sure to reach out to your representative, call them up, email them, and offer your support for this bill. We support it here at the First Responder Friday podcast, and I hope you will as well. And I think it'll be a great day to honor our first responders all across this country who sacrifice so much to take care of our communities. Thank you for watching today. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you again next time on the First Responder Friday podcast. Have a great day.